Hi, wonderful people. Just trying to get this up and running for us. Dan's taken today's class, but I am very aware that there are a lot of you who are unwell. So I thought I'd do a quick run through today's slides so that they make some sense for you, because this all ties in beautifully with your assignment. So I've called it Show Us Your Briefs. Obviously, I don't want you to show me your underwear, but this is about the briefing document that is at the heart of every single ad that is made in an agency. Marketing managers use it in-house as well. It's a really important document. Basically, the key thing I want you to take out of this is that if your work isn't on brief, it's worthless. And you're going to hear that a lot from all of us in the advertising department. When you're showing us your work, we might go, yeah, that's great, but is it on brief? And the key thing for you is to go, okay, the message here is that maybe I'm not ticking all the boxes that the brief is asking me to tick. Okay. So your brief is a map, and how you read that map really, really matters. If you read the map and it directs you in a particular way, and that way is awesome, and you come up with a great creative idea, then that's great. But you've got to make sure that you're staying on brief, because if you go off brief, all is lost. Stay on brief, you're going to get there. Stay on brief, show some creativity and insight, and you should come up with a creative solution that really, really works. Okay, so the idea is in here somewhere. This is an analogy that Pete Vegas, we're talking massive advertising fame, we're talking Pack and Save, that's his baby. This is an analogy that he uses. Yeah. So the idea is in here somewhere. How the hell are you going to find it? By using the brief. It's pointing you over here. Yeah. Still very esoteric, but we're going to dive into the different elements of the brief. Now, I'm not going to play this for you right now. Come back and look at the slides, because in the slides you'll see the videos of a couple of L&P ads from back in the day. And you could sum up the whole brief with this. The ad's job is to get Kiwis born in the 60s, 70s and 80s who think their childhood was the best time ever to recapture that magic by choosing L&P over all other soft drinks. And the SMP, which we'll talk about in a little bit, the single-minded proposition that the ad needs to communicate, is that L&P's there through everything. So come back and have a look at the two ads that are in here. We're not going to do that right now, but there's a couple for you to have a look at, and you can decide for yourself whether or not those ads fit that summary. But first, who actually writes a brief? A lot of people can be involved in the brief, and as you guys probably know, the more people get involved in something, the less straightforward it can be. Yeah. So from the client side, when they're coming to an agency and they want to come up with a great creative solution out of the agency, a lot of people might chip in with their thoughts about what needs to be covered. So you could get the marketer. You could have the brand manager who, for them, every message that comes out is all about that brand baby. Yeah. You've got the accounts team from the client. You've got Debbie on reception. You've got the general manager who's got some thoughts, and maybe the general manager's partner has some thoughts about colours. Or the chief financial officer. All those people might chip into this before it even hits the agency. And then they come and they have a meeting with the advertising agency. They'll sit down with the account manager and they'll talk through things. And it's the account manager's job to ask the questions that get to the heart of what the business problem is. But then the account planners might chip in with some information. Account executives might have something. Keith on reception may dive in as well with his thoughts. And then the creative director's got their ideas as well. And that's before this brief document even gets to the copywriter and art director to decipher and turn into something magic. Okay? So there are a lot of people involved in this process. Ideally, all you want the client to complete is their name and what the product, brand, or service is. But that never happens. Ideally, that's what you want. Okay. So this is from the very top of your brief template. Make sure you fill that in. It's really important and it often gets overlooked. The next thing is to sum up the task really broadly. So that summary I talked about for the L&P ads, get who to buy, that's this bit here. Okay, so the get, that's your broad description of who your target audience is. So you might talk about their gender, their age, their demographic. It's just a summary. So here's an example. Get people who love jeans and wear them all the time. Who, and this is where you describe their current behavior or their thinking. Yeah. Get people who love jeans and wear them all the time, who are committed to a favorite style. Maybe not skinny jeans anymore, just saying. 2, that's the behavior or the thinking that you want to provoke in them. So you're getting people who love jeans and wear them all the time, who are committed to a favorite style, to switch to brand X jeans for style they love that lasts at least 5 years. So this is a big summary. You're getting a little bit more information in here as well. Okay, and then the buy is the action that they're going to take by going to the local stockist or ordering online at brandxjeans.com. Okay, so that's the nutshell, right, of everything else that's going to be in your brief document. And what you might want to do is you might want to write it last. But whatever you've got in your summary has to be mentioned elsewhere in your brief. Otherwise, it's additional information and it's not a summary. Handy hint. Okay, so now you're going to dig deeper. You're going to start looking for some gold, right? So what you want to do in your brief is explain what the business problem is that your creative campaign, your ads, are going to solve for the client. The client may have a really broad idea of what that is, or they may have a lot of different business problems. Now, you may not be answering all those problems with one ad campaign or one ad execution. Basically, you can't do that. Okay, so you need to dig deeper and find out what it is that they really want you to solve. It might be a launch of a product. It might be a product that's been out there for a while, but they are relaunching it. It might just be to increase sales. It might be to undermine a competitor. And you do see that. You do see brands comparing themselves with other brands to position themselves as with their point of difference. It might be to raise awareness or to get exposure. So that could be maybe for a charity, that could be for something that's going on in the world, it may be for some kind of behaviour change campaign, or it could be to combat bad press. There might be an element of PR in it too. So there are all sorts of business problems that your client might have. You need to know exactly what it is that they're trying to do. That's what you're going to put in there under that information. Keep it succinct. Have I missed one? No, I haven't. Okay, now you also need to make sure that you're really specific. You need to know who you're talking to. So on your brief where it says who's the audience we want to connect with, you need to drill down. Okay, you will do your best work as a creative, or if you're not going to be a creative but you're going to be an account manager or an account executive or an account planner, you're going to get the best work out of your creative team if you really drill down so that they are writing as though they're talking to one person. You really need to know that person. And you guys know this with communications. You know that even if your message is going out to millions of people, you need to talk to all of them as though they're just one person. You talk directly to them. That's what gets through. No one likes being called you people. right? We like to be addressed directly. And it's nice if we feel as though the person who's talking to us really gets us. Yeah. So you really need to know that person. And you can be a little bit creative in here in your brief as well. So here's an example. This is for brand X genes, okay? So we need to narrow this group down so that we're only talking to one person. So here we've got all people who wear trousers, yeah? But we don't want to just talk to everybody who wears trousers, so we're going to get rid of some people. So what we've done is we've taken out all the people who don't wear jeans. We don't need to talk to them. They're gone, okay? So we've cut, what, 6 people out there, and we're left with the people who wear jeans. But that's not narrow enough, okay? So now what we've done is we've taken out people who only wear trousers. We've taken out people who wear jeans but who are over 45. We're not interested in them. They're set in their ways. They're committed to their brands, their skinny jeans. We're not going to sway them. Okay? They've probably got jeans in their wardrobe from 20 years ago that they're still wearing. That's cool. They're not our audience. So we've got some more out, but we need to tighten it up even more. Okay, so we're also going to take out people who wear jeans with boots. We're not interested in them at all, okay? Don't know why, but we're just eliminating them. So they'll only wear their jeans with boots. Yeah, dead to me, not interested. And now we're going to take out people who wear jeans. They don't wear their jeans with boots. They wear them with shoes, so that's good. We want that. But they always wear sleeves. We're not interested in them either. So we're left with one person. And you'll note that she's right here. She's happy. She's young. She's got her jeans on. She's wearing flat shoes. She's wearing a sleeveless top. And she's the person, for this example, that we're going to be talking to. So here's Tanya. She loves her jeans. She's got 12 different pairs. She's not that hung up on labels, okay? She only wears them with heels or flats. Boots make her legs look chunky. She doesn't want her legs to look chunky because at the moment she's kind of interested in Pete from work. He's the brand manager. She quite likes Pete. She's got her eye on him, but yeah, she doesn't want to look like a chumpy lump. Someone once told her that she has really lovely arms, so she never covers them up, right? She figures that people might notice her great arms, so yeah, she's all about that, right? Now, we like Tanya. Tanya's in her first job. She's been out of uni for a few years. She still feels as though she doesn't quite know what she's doing, but she's getting there. But she lacks a little bit of confidence and she's a little bit insecure with her abilities in her job. She doesn't really follow the trends, but she doesn't like to stand out or look silly. And that's why she has so many pairs of jeans. So now we know quite a bit more about Tanya. So we could delve into where she lives, where she works, which we kind of have a little bit, what she's interested in outside of work, what she eats, what she drives, where she shops, who she admires, what her 5-year plan is, all those sorts of things, whether she wants to travel. And you get a really, really good idea of a person. In this instance, she's completely imaginary, and that's fine. Because if you speak directly to her, you're going to capture all the other people who can relate to aspects of who she is. Yeah? The next part of your brief looks at Tanya and what she thinks, feels, or does now. And you can go back up here and have a look at this and pull out the things that you can deduce from what's written here about Tanya. Yeah? You know, she's got 12 different pairs of jeans. You know, she's not, she's quite risk averse. She doesn't want to stand out. She's not a trendsetter. She's a trend follower. What other things can you pull out from that? And then you just sum them up and you talk about what Tanya currently thinks, what she currently currently feels and what she currently does when it comes to buying jeans. Yeah. And then you look at what you want her to think, feel, or do after seeing your ad. So how are you going to disrupt her thoughts, emotions, and behaviour with your ad? That's what you sum up there. Okay? And they can just be a sentence each. Basically, what you want her to do is get her to race past everybody else into Brand X, into the store, and buy a new pair of jeans. Every brief asks you for an insight. Okay, what's the insight that's going to help you to do really great work? First of all, what's an insight? And you should know this from previous classes if you've done advertising papers. If you haven't, don't worry, we'll catch you up, that's fine. But an insight is that amazing little nugget that tells you something about the product or the brand or the audience that sets them apart. I know I've used an example in the past. I may not have used it with you guys, but with toothpaste, the idea of, there are lots of insights around how people use toothpaste, whether they squeeze in the middle, whether they roll from the top, when they throw it out, whether they do a big blob on their toothbrush or whether they just use a little bit. Even things like nurses use toothpaste to clean their hands to get the smell of bodily excretions off them. Parents might do that as well if their kid does a punami and it goes everywhere and you're going, yeah, gross. But there's an insight as to what the product is actually used for. Is it just used for cleaning teeth? No, it's also used for cleaning jewellery. So have a think about the insight to do. Is there a behavioural insight to do with Tanya and who she is, and how she wears jeans and why she wears jeans? And that's where you get to dig quite deep. Okay? We're not doing this right now, obviously. Let me jump in. There we go. And so that insight and all that information that you've got leads up to one chewy nugget that sums up your message. Okay? It's called the single-minded proposition. And what the single-minded proposition is the one thing that your ad has to communicate to the audience. Often this is the really what I call straight way of saying it, and your ad will be the great way of saying it. So the single-minded proposition sums up the one thing, single-minded, single, one, the one thing that your ad needs to communicate to the audience. What is the company trying to say about their product? If that's not clear, go back to them. Or if that's really not clear, ask what could they be saying or what should they be saying? What is the one thing that the client is promising the consumer? So your single-minded proposition is the single-minded promise or the one benefit that you're communicating. Is that clear? So in the instance of Brand X jeans, if it's the one thing that the brand is promising, it's promising that these jeans look really great and they last for at least 5 years. So we promise you won't need to buy another pair of jeans for 5 years. Just an example, but you're with me, I hope. The key thing is you have to be able to back up your single-minded proposition. You can't make these big promises without being able to back them up. It's actually against the law. Yeah, false advertising, you can't do it. So there's a section in your brief that says what gives us the right to say what we're saying about the product or service. And you need to look for evidence in the brief. It's the information that your client has supplied. So in the case of your assignment, your client has supplied you with some information. You can go and do more research to back that up. Yeah? It could be test results. They could have survey answers about how people perceive their product. It could be how the product's used or how it's applied. But whatever it is, you have to be able to back it up. You cannot make any claim in an ad that you cannot back up. Okay? And this is the space on the brief where you document that evidence. Hopefully this makes sense. Okay, I think I'm going to finish up here, guys. I'm trying to think what else I have in here. You can go back and look at those. So they're ads for the same brand, for the same product. They're an ancient ad for a battery and a more recent ad for the same battery. And if you have a look at them and just unpick them, you might be able to determine what the promise was, that single-minded proposition was for each ad, and perhaps what the insight was. But once you've got all that information and you've got it in your briefing document, and it's clear and it's easy to read and it's not too long, it's very succinct, but it's got some nice little nuggets in there for your creatives, you're ready to get creative. You're ready to give this document to your creative team because you know what you're selling, you know who your audience is, you know what they do now, their behavior, their thoughts, their attitudes. You know what you want them to do instead. You know how you want them to do it, and you've got one clear proposition or promise or benefit to communicate to them. And then, once you give that to your creatives, that's the map that they use to find a creative solution that gets that message straight to that target audience in the most compelling way. So we're going to be doing some of this in tutorials. We're going to do some work on SMPs. Please bring an ad that you've seen, killer, average, or utter shite, to talk about. If you can be there, that would be great. There's also some exercises that you'll run through. So we're going to give you a broken brief for you to fix, and you'll be able to see the kind of information that needs to go in each area. And there'll be a chance for you to get paired up and get started and have time to work on your assignment. So hey, thanks for your time. You've probably watched this at double speed. Go back through the slides, make a note of anything that didn't make sense to you, and bring your questions along to class. Awesome. Briefs are great. You can't do any creative work without a brief. It takes skill to write a really good brief, but a great brief will get great creative results. So it's really important. Thanks, team.